And we've reached the end. It is the last race of the season. We are at Phoenix to crown a champion in all three series. And as always, we are here to break it all down for you, give you our favorite DFS angles, our favorite betting angles. Why don't you come down the back road one last time with us, and we'll see you on the other side.
It's a non-points race, but it is a short race. Checker flag. That's all this race is.
What's going on, everybody? It is time to win a championship. All three series are in Phoenix this weekend. It's the final race of the 2024 NASCAR season across the board. So we had to bring back the three amigos for you one more time this season. My name's Elliot Hicks. With me is Seth Woolcock and Rod Villagomez. Boys, it's going to be a fun little trip down the back road. As like I mentioned, we're going to look to crown champions this week and take home one last bag for the year.
I can't wait. We get to this point in the season, and I don't want it to go away. I'm going to miss NASCAR, but we got one last shot at it, boys. Let's make it count here. I know we all got a bunch of futures in our back pocket that hopefully this weekend will be profitable no matter what, but we are coming off our biggest NASCAR betting weekend of our entire life, so vibes are high over here. I hope they are for you as well, my friend Rod Villagomez in the saddle with us.
February, we started this journey. Actually, probably some of us in January, but it's so hard to believe that we are here in November. We are at Phoenix for the last time. And I got to say, this has been a hell of a season, not just from the standpoint of betting, but just from a season in general. And last week was pretty much the culmination of a whole lot of anger, frustration for a long, long season. And if that is a precursor to what we're about to see this coming week, ooh, boys, strap them in.
It's going to be exciting regardless. Maybe the racing not quite as good as we've seen the last couple of weeks, but hey, we're racing for a title, and that'll bring all the fun to the table. We will react to the weekend at Martinsville that we had, break down Phoenix, give you our best bets and DFS rankings as well. And guys, we want to hear from you. Shout out to the IBT family. We're glad you're here every week. And we want to hear what you like the most this season, what you like the least this season, what you're looking for in the future. We have a survey that is linked in the episode description. We'll also be tweeting it out after the show and over the next couple of days, a couple more times as well. We want to hear what you like. We want to hear what you don't like. And that is going to be a way to enter our giveaway that we're going to have next week. I'll tease some of those items again. And any giveaways in the future too, get yourself in there. We want to hear from you, and we want to know how to make this better because we're glad you're here and we want to put on the best show that we can for you.
Yeah, the Backroad crew shows up every single Thursday night. It doesn't matter what's happening, whether it's the election happening, whether it's Thursday night football. They're locked in and loaded with us. So we want to help give back. We want to know what can we do better next season? What can we do to help build this community more? That's what that survey does. It probably shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes. It'll enter you in that sweet, sweet giveaway as well. So appreciate it, everyone hanging out with us. We got Marcus. He was in here early, 6:25. And he's ready. He's ready for Christopher Bell to get back in the winner's circle. That was a tough break for you, Marcus. That was a tough beat, my friend. I was thinking of Marcus when that happened. I said, I know one Christopher Bell fan that is very sad after that. It was a good run, Marcus, but you can't wall ride, my friend. Charles saying it was a good run, Marcus. Yeah, he's sending his condolences. Pour one out for him, Chuck. Pour one out for him. He's pulling for Reddick today. Kush, he is going with number 24, Byron, to win and get the championship as well. And Stan saying Reddick is going to do this. If the manufacturers are really as tight as last week's race indicates, Reddick might actually get Bell's car from Phoenix number 1. Not a bad take there from our guy Stan, Elliot.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We got the perfect segue right there. Let's take a look back at the Martinsville weekend in the rear view. So normally I'd kind of try to read through kind of what happened in all the races and we'd go from there. I feel like the conversation does have to start with Cup this week, though. We saw Ryan Blaney pull off once again one of the best damn drives that we've seen, especially in this next gen car, to come up there, take the lead, and grab the win that he needed to advance to the championship for the second year in a row. But what happened back in the pack a little bit, we saw some race manipulation. Let's be honest with you. That's what it was. We saw teams get penalized for it. There were two big situations here. We had the top three were pretty much locked in. Blaney was in the lead, or if it was Elliot in the lead or Larson in the lead, regardless, they were the ones that needed to win. They were going to take that third spot, and you had Reddick and Logano in as the top two. So that only left one spot on points, and it was tight between Christopher Bell and William Byron. Byron on old tires had stayed out a little longer to try to keep the track position because it was only a handful of points, even though Christopher Bell ran pretty crummy all day, was trapped a lap down. He was the first car a lap down for most of that last run until we got about to 20 laps to go. And then Bubba Wallace gets lapped, and that kind of trapped Bell, or so we thought. Byron, meanwhile, is dropping back to where it was a 1 point difference. And then eventually we thought at the end of the race was tied. But investigations post-race, the main thing that was investigated post-race was Christopher Bell, as Bubba Wallace kind of backed up to him on the last lap, as the data shows. Maybe he had a tire going down. Who knows? But so Bubba Wallace kind of backs up a little bit. Christopher Bell kind of sends it in too deep in turn 3 and 4, ends up doing a little bit of a wall ride, similar to what we saw with Ross Chastain. Not quite the same move to me. Yeah, not quite the same as the Hail Melon, but certainly looked similar. In the moment, they did penalize Bell for that, for a safety violation, dropped him enough positions to put Byron into the final four. But Byron in the Chevrolet camp was not innocent either. Byron had dropped back enough positions to where the two cars behind him, either one of them passing him would have knocked them out. But you had Ross Chastain and Austin Dillon Chevrolet that kind of just ran too wide and almost formed a wall for about the last 10 laps to keep Byron from getting past. The 1, the 3, and the 23 all had their crew chiefs, their spotters, and a race team executive suspended for the Phoenix race weekend for race manipulation that came after the race weekend, and they still put Byron in. And it's like we said, it's clear and obvious race manipulation. We see kind of light race manipulation when everyone works together on the super speedways. This was pretty blatant, almost to the point of 2013 Richmond that basically killed Michael Waltrip Racing.
Yeah, I mean, there's too much money being bet on this sport alone for this fuckery to happen. This is absurd. What happens if you have an Austin Dillon top 5 ticket? I mean, you got to be peeved. He could have maybe passed Byron, passed Hamlin, got up in there. And this is just bad for the sport as well. Like, we make fun of, I don't watch F1 after what happened earlier this season with that type of shit. And now we're seeing it in NASCAR. It's more manufacturer orders than team orders, which I guess is better, but too much money's being invested here. It's just, I don't know, man. It's a hard miss for me. Rod, what was your takeaways from this?
So, yeah, and the F1 thing, totally. I made that same comparison because we saw it even in the sprint race from the last weekend where McLaren told Oscar Piastri switch positions with Lando Norris because Lando Norris is in a championship battle with Max Verstappen, and Lando needs the spot more than Oscar Piastri does. So they had to switch positions. That was a team order to switch positions. My whole thing is this. When you start to talk about what is good for your driver versus what's good for your team, what's good for your manufacturer, not to mention, Seth, you did talk about the money being invested by bettors, but what about the money that's being invested by these big companies and these manufacturers and these corporations that depend on these finishes and these championships to fuel their thing? So of course they're going to want the 1 and, the 3 to kind of lay back a little bit and not push the issue. But then also, two things really big. Keselowski could have pushed the issue. He could have tried to move around. He didn't have to sit back there also, right? He knew what was going on. He could have gone around and tried to get past him. But also the biggest thing of all this, don't stay out. If you're the 24, come in for tires. You knew how good tires were going to be. And yeah, you may have lost a couple of spots there, but the fact that you're staying out on old tires and you're watching these guys charge at you with new tires, just don't stay out. Don't put yourself in that position. Throw those 4 Goodyears on and see where you can go from there. Because I guarantee you that Bubba Wallace's tire would not have gone down if William Byron had new tires on.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't have come down to that one spot there, Seth.
Yeah, and Elliot, we even heard some chatter on the radio that Bubba Wallace even sounded kind of disgruntled that he was going to have to back up and help a JGR car. So that was some BS. And honestly, I don't want to say it, but like kind of fuck Freddie Kraft as well for going on air and just what felt like blatantly lying to the faces of NASCAR fans, loyal listeners this week. I don't know, man. That didn't sit well with me. I don't think you can just go on and lie about stuff like that. I don't know.
So I think I didn't listen to his full comments. I saw one clip there. I'm assuming they're all going to say, well, there was no team order. There was no deal that was drawn up beforehand, like what may have been implied there. But these guys do this every week. They work with these people every week. They know the deal. They do know the situation that's ongoing there. There's probably wasn't a whole lot that was pre-discussed, but in those situations, you're going to help the people that help you. Like, I almost wonder, we know that Rick Hendrick has helped out a lot of the Chevrolet teams, either in the past or now. I wonder if it was a Trackhouse car ahead of a Hendrick car or the RCR car in front, not a Hendrick car, would the situation have been the same? And with the Toyotas too, it was sorry, I lost train of thought there, but it wasn't a straight up deal, but
that one was more blatant, honestly. Like maybe they were both super blatant. Like, we're not dumbasses. We've been watching this sport for years. We know how much tires mattered yesterday at Martinsville, which that should have been the story. The story we should be talking about is, one, that was an awesome race. That was the best Martinsville race I've ever seen in the
Ryan
next era.
Blaney's generational drive to the front to do it again, getting completely overshadowed by this.
Yeah, absolutely. Chuck in the chat saying Kraft was pretty adamant it wasn't. He basically, his argument was that if they were going to do it, why would they have waited until the last lap or whatever?
So it wouldn't be so obvious. Like, I mean, unless Bubba was actually slowing up the whole time, and then then over the course of maybe 5 or 10 laps, but he wasn't slowing down, so there was no like. It's obvious, right? When you just kind of let him go, and I don't know. I think it got to the point where they knew that Bell needed that spot. That's when they were like, okay, well, guess what, Bubba, you need to just do this now, right? And it was a little bit late, but yeah, I don't know. It's still frustrating.
Go ahead, Seth.
I was gonna say TK saying he's surprised that 77 wasn't considered part of it, considering he was hanging outside the 6 behind the 1. Yeah, but Chuck also saying that 77 did look like he was moving a little bit quicker and trying to get around Chastain. I'm just disappointed in Ross. Like, I get you have to do this as a driver, but Ross seems like one of those guys who would just say fuck it and do what he wants. But I guess there's too much on the line here.
That's kind of what I thought too in the moment. I didn't really realize that's what was happening until we got to the last couple of laps, because it was so clear. Byron's falling back, everyone's going by. I didn't think about it till 3, 4, 5 laps ago. I'm like, oh, these guys aren't going to pass him. Like, they're just going to sit there. They're going to block Keselowski. They're going to block the train wreck that was Hocevar, to the point where he was really getting shit on the broadcast. But I think that was part of it too, is they didn't necessarily realize in the moment, oh, the Chevys aren't going to move and they're going to stonewall for him. It only needs to be that one spot. They saw the opportunity for Bubba to slam the brake basically that whole last lap. And you made the comparison to the Hail Melon there. It obviously looked a lot like it, because Bell hit the wall and then gassed it up. But Chastain, when he did that, set an all-time track record lap. Bell was like a second and a half off of the pace of everybody else. Bubba was in like 3 seconds off. So there's no innocence there. But what happened was that I think NASCAR took the easy cop-out. They had the wall ride, Hail Melon, and they saw something similar to that. So, of course, the 27-minute post-race wait to determine what to do. They had the easy cop-out. They didn't have to let it sit and then alter it midweek on race manipulation penalties. They got kind of lucky that Bell did the half wall ride there, so that they could call the safety violation and wrap this up on race day, which I am glad they did. I sent this. I'm glad that they made a decision before NBC went off air, that we didn't have to go back and look at this later like we have in other playoff rounds, that, oh shit, they changed the playoff rounds.
I'll say this. I'll add this too. And in that, when you get against the wall, and there was 2 things that happened there where Bubba, you could tell he was letting him go. So I don't know why Christopher got squirrely and jumped out the way he did, because you could clearly tell that Bubba was not going to contest him for that spot. So there was an opportunity for him to just kind of go around first and foremost. But second of all, when he overcorrected and hit the wall, don't gas up.
Yeah.
Don't gas up. Don't hit the gate. You know that already you hit the wall. Okay, bounce off. Bubba's not going to hit me. We're good. Like, I don't have to try to accelerate faster. Don't gas up. The wall ride is not legal. So, and he got off and he knew it too. I mean, he knew that this was not legal. So he broke a rule. He knew it. You can't fault NASCAR for punishing that.
Yeah, in the moment, I'm sure he's just like, oh, I have to go. I can't slow down because he might pass me again, and then I lose the spot.
Bottom line, I'm at least happy NASCAR did something about this. I don't think it was a big enough penalty to these teams, a harsh enough fine as well. But I'm glad they did something. And hey, we're still walking out 25 units plus last week, boys. Let's go. Thank you, Eric Almirola on Saturday. No sweat bet. It felt like outright top 3. And then we come back. We hit the Ryan Blaney top 10 college football money line parlay. We hit the Ryan Blaney outright. Oh, it was good. Kyle Larson, top 5. Thank you. Fuck you, Chase Briscoe. You were the only one who kept me away from a perfect weekend. But outside of that, boys, it was glorious. I hope the bets were falling for y'all as well.
So of the bets that I mentioned on the show last week, I did call out Ryan Blaney for the win, but that was an obvious one. I mean, he was one of the favorites. I also mentioned Stuart Haas Racing. They were so damn close. I had 3 of them for a top 10.
Oh my God. You looked so good early. Yeah.
They were so good early, but 11th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. And the one that I didn't mention, Noah Gregson, was the 11th. And then Denny Hamlin ends up getting the top 5 as well, but didn't quite work out there.
Yeah, we had a good day on the we had a good weekend too on the NASCAR gambling podcast. We hit all the outrights for all 3 series. So we were good there. Some great top 5s in the truck race too. So we had Chase Purdy as a top 5 truck in the truck race. So that was a good pull. Looking good so far.
Can I just say too, Chandler Smith, I'm not the toughest guy either, but you got to learn how to throw a punch, my dude. Come on. Like, Cole Custer's a guy. He's been around some professional wrestlers the last couple of weeks. He's been mixing it up in the ring. That's not the guy you just go out and throw a little hissy punch at. That was probably the weakest punch I've ever seen. Come on, Chandy. Come on, Chandy.
Yeah, and we know he's frustrated too. In the Xfinity race, Eric Almirola gets the win. Sammy Smith P2, Chandler Smith P3. They both needed the win, and the top 3 drivers were the 3 that I called out for outrights there. No big deal.
Let's go.
But yeah, Chandler Smith, he's got to be frustrated because he doesn't know if he has a ride locked down for next year. It's probably not going to be in a car anywhere near as good at JGR. So that'll be something to watch. And then in the truck race too, we had a lot of we had some drama too. We can bring up Xfinity again if we want. Christian Eckes was a dominant truck, ended up with a late restart, some strategy, where Taylor Gray, who was an outright that I called on the show as well, has the lead, has control of the race in the last couple of laps. Eckes was 40-plus points to the good. He didn't need to move Taylor Gray, nor did he need to move Ben Rhodes a lap later to take that, but he said, damn it, I want to win the race. And I don't know if you guys were watching this live, but that walk from Taylor Gray to pit road, kind of around to victory lane, just the whole entourage with him, felt like a badass moment. And for Taylor Gray to not start a fight, to just go up and say, man, I didn't really like that. Whatever was said was said. I think Eckes said something like, maybe you should have put me in the wall. If you thought you could have put me in the wall, Taylor Gray could very well get his vengeance on the racetrack. That'll be something neat to watch for 2 guys that are going to hope to compete for Xfinity titles next year.
I'm sorry, Seth, but I love the Taylor because it felt like a WWE moment where you're watching the guy walk around the entire arena to get to the guy. I loved it.
Taylor Gray, he earned a fan in me for that. That was pretty badass. He obviously wasn't going to throw a punch with everyone kind of standing there.
Yeah,
but
and there was quite the security guard next to him too. Hey, calm down, buddy, calm down. He just wanted to talk, so it worked out.
Yeah. But hey, sparks were flying. I know they're going to fly this weekend as well. But Martinsville, all said and done, boys. It was a fun one. I hope we can move past as bettors, I guess we just have to move past it. We have to like just hope things can not be that way in the future because you can't be betting on sports like that. That's total. So I'm ready. I'm ready to go though. Vibes are high. We got some big futures in our back pocket as well.
No doubt. And yeah, just stuff like that's tough when you have race manipulation. I feel like they let people bet on F1, but I feel like I don't see the matchups as often as I did before the big McLaren things that have happened the last couple months.
Apparently Custer got a black eye. Really?
Oh, there was. I just saw this clip this evening. They had all 4 of the championship 4 for Xfinity on the Dale Jr. download. You can barely see it, but Dale Jr. at one point is like, man, I'm sitting here for a half hour. I just noticed you got a black eye, Custer. And it was just the slightest little bruise on his eye there, but apparently it was a hard enough slap in the right spot, or maybe there was a little makeup thrown on for the story, but I don't know.
Terrible punch there.
Oh, there we go. Okay, we lost Seth for a minute, but I think we got him back. Before we take a look at the horizon forecast for Phoenix, just one brief news item that came out. this morning or yesterday or something like that. We talked last week about Corey Heim. Where is he going to end up next year? He'll be returning to the TRICON truck in 2025. And honest to God, I mean, we've pleaded this case before. This guy's too good for the truck series. He's been a title contender the last couple of years, and it's going to be no different next year. Honest to God, you could give me an over-under of like 4.5 wins for him next year. I'm probably taking the over. That's how good he's been.
Well, yeah, considering Christian Eckes is not going to be there next year to compete with him, that's one big competition taken away, and a lot of wins on the table for Heim now.
I thought Daniel Hemrick might go to that truck, so excited to see kind of what happens with him. Maybe he'll take the 19 potentially, but I think the truck series is saved because now you have a ringer in it with Corey Heim. But God damn it feels like he feels like he got done so wrong here, Elliot. I mean, the relationship we've touched on with JGR is just not there. I don't know if he has to switch manufacturers now or what happens, but this guy deserves a cup ride.
Yeah, and that could be his out. I don't know if there's any more room in the Chevy camp, but we know that Ford notoriously has no prospects, really. I mean, they're getting Creed and Sam Mayer for Haas factory team next year, but that could be the path, is go out, really dominate again, give them one more shot to fix their mistake, put them in Cup, put them in Xfinity, put them in a better ride than this. If it doesn't happen, then he probably should jump, because we mentioned this is a guy that probably could run fairly decent in Cup, could at least put up the same numbers that guys like JHN and Eric Jones are in those legacy cars. But honestly, keep yourself in a good ride, go win a bunch more races, make them not be able to ignore you anymore.
Yeah, get your Corey Heim futures in early. As soon as you see those drops, like tag Elliot and Rod and I on Twitter. I want to get invested with it. I don't think 4.5 is going to be the number. I think it's going to be 5.5, 6.5. And how many he's got what, 6 this year already? Is that the number?
6 this year, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see where Enfinger lands up. We'll see who's in that 19 truck, but Lane Riggs, look for his too. Like, Lane Riggs is the only other guy I think who could maybe like go out and dominate in the trucks if he does get back in that 38.
Yeah, but it took him a while to even get up to speed. So who knows if that was just to get up to speed or if maybe the potential is not quite there. Who knows? But yeah, Corey Heim far and away going to be the best truck driver next year, I feel.
No. Lane Riggs is going to be on next year. He is closing the season out hard. So
I have faith in that too. I picked him as a championship favorite, both by mistake at Darlington trying to bet him to win, and at the beginning of the year when we talked trucks. I had the faith in Riggs, but I just am trying to play devil's advocate and not, I already fanboy on one driver enough on the show. I can't add any more. I can't add any more.
Nick saying, how does Ford not have more teams? I'm not even a Ford fan, but my God, they deserve better. It's tough, Elliot. Like, you've seen, this is how it goes, man. We've seen manufacturers come and go in the sport, and not that I don't think Ford's going anywhere anytime soon, but they're not where Chevy is currently.
They're not where Chevy is, and they're not where Toyota is in the pipeline. And they've had it kind of tough. They used to have a bustling Xfinity deal at Roush. That went away in the dark years of Roush. I do think Keselowski probably is going to want to fire up an Xfinity team sooner rather than later, and I'm sure Ford would want to give him the support. But right now, they don't really have the drivers. I mean, they're going to have to switch both of their main Xfinity cars with Haas factory team next year. We already know that Penske, after getting Austin Cindric to Cup, they didn't really care to run Xfinity anymore. I think they do add a couple more cars in the future in Xfinity, but yeah, they're kind of in a tough spot. They don't have the same pipeline that Chevy or Toyota do across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What do you guys say? Should we go ahead and turn the page here and start comping what's going to be a great race down in Phoenix?
Yeah, I mean, it was an exciting weekend at the paperclip, but now we're ready to win a title. So let's get started on that. Preview the weekend at Phoenix and the Horizon forecast.
Hey, Michael, it was only 20% chance of rain. I think we got all 20.
Shout out, as always, to our guy Ray Dunlap. Hope you're doing well out there. So we're heading to Phoenix. 1 mile low bank tri-oval, short flat track. Some of the primary comps: Richmond, Gateway, New Hampshire. You can look at the Cup Series doesn't race there. In my truck predictions, I did also factor in IRP, Lucas Oil, whatever they're calling it now, as a possible comp as well. Yeah,
that's pretty much it. To me, I think New Hampshire is the heaviest one that really drives like Phoenix. That's my 101. Gateway, you could throw Iowa in there too. Yeah. Richmond's a weird one. Richmond to me is kind of almost like you see guys who are really good at Phoenix, not very good at Richmond. I don't know what the deal is at, like the Blaneys, the Bells of the world, not the strongest at Richmond. But yeah, those are kind of the primary comps of this short flat track. And IRP is a good comp for the Truck Series as well, Rod.
Yeah, and so is North Wilkesboro as well. That's kind of another
good
one
point.
too. Yeah, and then Milwaukee for the trucks too. So yeah,
Right. Milwaukee. Damn, I forgot about Milwaukee. Good one, Ron.
Yeah.
I just talked trucks earlier today, so it's fresh on the mind.
Looking at some of the schedule for this weekend, speaking of the trucks, truck race, 8 p.m. Eastern time, Lucas Oil 150. That's going to be at 8 p.m. on Friday. And then Saturday gets going. I like that most of this stuff's happening at night this weekend, especially on Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Cup qualifying. And then we'll get the Xfinity Series race, 8:30 p.m. The NASCAR Xfinity Series Championship. Why is the Truck Series Championship not just called the Truck Series Championship and it's always the Lucas Oil 150?
I don't think it is, because I every place I've seen it, it's been the NASCAR Truck Series Championship. Even
Really?
on the website.
I think so. Yeah.
Really?
I wasn't going to call it out, but I think that is. I don't know if Lucas Oil 150 was last. It wouldn't have been the Martinsville race. They wouldn't go 150.
I don't know. I don't know what the deal is there. Then I don't know.
Maybe you got was on with the spring race or something. I don't know.
I was on the official site, so someone's giving me some bad information out there. But regardless, then on Sunday, Cup race, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship, lap 60, lap 185, lap 312. I won't be watching this until Sunday Night Football rolls around. So don't fucking text me. Don't ping me. Don't DM me. Don't beat me. You can't reach me. That's the bottom line here.
Just take the phone and put it on the top of the cat tree in the living room, Seth. Don't worry about it.
There you go. Very true. Looking at some trends here, gentlemen. Last year was the first time in 4 years of having a championship race at Phoenix that was won by not the champion.
And the first time in the modern playoff era, too. Every other year it's taken the champ winning the race since Harvick in 2014 all the way through until last year.
Do you guys think someone who's not in the championship 4 wins this race?
Not this year.
Bell or Larson would be my only shots, but I think it probably will take the champion this year. It's a strong enough championship for guys that have won here before.
Yeah, Bell, I think, is the only one who maybe has an outside shot. I'm with you there on that one. Of the championship 4, 2 have wins at Phoenix. Byron has won in a spring race. Logano has won 2 playoff races here at Phoenix. Looking at some more trends, this race has been won by the pole winner 3 times before last year. So if you get on the pole, there's a good chance you're dancing late in this one. You're going to get that number 1 pit stall. I think that obviously adds some value to winning the pole here. Ross won from 8th last season, though.
That might even, does that include when Chase didn't Chase win the pole and then have to start at the back in 2020? I think.
Yes, yeah.
Obviously, you still got to have a fast car, but that is something important to note that Chase didn't actually start on the pole, won it from the back. But point is, you got to have a damn good car and be in the conversation to be
100%. Chase, Blaney, and Larson. Speaking of Chase, all are top 3 in all-time average starting position at Phoenix. They're the only ones below an 8.0 average starting position. 3 of the 4 final 4 drivers have won poles at Phoenix as well. Blaney, he's got 3 poles, so he can unload fast here. Logano, he's got 2. Byron's got 1. And at Phoenix, winners come from the front row 19.6% of the time, top 5, 39% of the time, and top 10, 59% of the time. Those are actually pretty low numbers aside from the front row one. What do you think adds to that, Elliot? What do you think makes this race one that you can win from a little bit further back?
Especially in the playoffs, a term that we hear a lot, especially for my fantasy race, is the early vacation mode that we see a lot of teams in. There's also a lot of weird strategy, whether it be in the spring, which is usually race 4 or 5 of the year. Teams are really still trying to find their footing. But then also in this playoff race, you see some strategies. You see some real Hail Marys when teams need to get the track position. Obviously, the champions and the winners usually are starting up front, but you can definitely have that variation toward the back of the field.
Rod, how far back does a driver have to qualify for you to be like, yeah, that ticket's dead going into Sunday?
Honestly, maybe the mid-20s. I really, and well, it also depends on the driver too. Which driver? I mean, if we're talking like Justin Haley back there in 25th, then I'm not worried about it. But like if it's a Ryan Blaney that's back in 25th, maybe I'm like, well, that'd be a great number to bet, though. I'm sure if the books decided to adjust Ryan Blaney at 25th to lengthen the odds, but. Yeah, I mean, if it's one of the playoff drivers, who knows? I don't know that there is a scary position for me. Maybe even if they have to jump to the back, Elliot's right. Strategy is going to play a huge part in it at that point. So do we stay out? Do we, flip the stage? Like, what do we do to get ourselves up front again?
Yeah. 100%. Speaking of that, looking at our ifantasyrace.com asterisk mark driver of the week, William Byron. He was in this championship last year, also was a contender in the spring, but he did finish 18th in that race due to some fucky strategy in that race. Byron, he finished 6th in stage 1, 4th in stage 2, and then was 4th on lap 209. However, Hamlin spun and that totally flipped the field, if you remember. All my bets, I was on Hendrick heavy that day. They all went up in smoke. Byron dropped back and could never rebound. He was, in terms of total speed rankings, though, 8th. So that's something that you have to keep in mind when looking at the Phoenix 1 results from earlier this spring, gentlemen, is that it doesn't always correlate to who was really running fast in that race, Elliot, because we saw so many of those Hendrick Chevys especially get the bad end of the stick there.
Yeah, that works out really well that one of the championship 4 guys is the asterisk mark driver because Byron, all the rest of his stats, even by the numbers of finishing position, do look really good for Phoenix here. That was just one of the lone ones there, but I do believe he led some laps to at least give us that tip that they were pretty good that day. 3 of the 4 Hendrick cars were good. Alex Bowman, pretty mediocre day there, ended up 20th or something, but no one remembers that.
Larson wasn't the best either. I had a ticket on Larson, and he didn't come close to cashing that top 5, I don't think either. So
that if it was Larson or Chase that had made the championship 4 also, I would take Byron over them just on the Phoenix stats, regardless of the asterisk mark.
Yeah, very, very true. Make sure you guys are checking out ifantasyrace.com. We appreciate them powering this segment and our research all season long. They do great work over there, so make sure you're checking out ifantasyrace.com. And what do you say, Elliot? Should we go ahead and jump into the bets?
Let's go ahead and crack it open one more time. Let's put it in park, get the parking garage props out there, see who we got for Phoenix.
I'm going to miss that intro so fucking much. Oh, I love that.
Send me the MP3, Seth. I want to listen to it.
Well, we can always hop in and listen anytime. Seth caught me a little early in this stream, jumping in and jamming to our old intro video.
Headbanging. Elliot's headbanging. The most I've ever seen him pumped up for anything in my life.
These old tunes here. Yeah, I did want to shout out Stan, as I'm sure you guys do too, for the super sticker. Much appreciated.
Thank you, buddy.
Truex having an outside shot. Red carpet treatment is real. I was shocked to see him get the pole last week. And hey, guys, there may or may not be one more Truex number on my card this week. Even though
you son of a bitch.
My over 2.5 win bet from pre-Daytona did not work. Thankfully,
keep drinking, Rod. Keep drinking. I'm with you.
I like it though. But in any case, I've liked Truex a lot this year and it hasn't worked out. We do have a couple of bets though. Some from Daytona, some that we've put in throughout the year. That we do have riding this weekend, which is really exciting. I'll let one of you guys take the floor here. What do you got rolling this weekend?
Yeah,
that you put in before this weekend, I should say.
Yeah. So looking at some of our championship futures, I will say this is kind of limiting my card, and I'm kind of hedging around this a little bit more. I am getting invested with some of these drivers again.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, Blaney 12-1. I hit that. That was actually a random ticket I hit back in Phoenix in the spring. I thought I was betting the outright for the race. Turns out it was the championship future. So
that actually worked.
Yeah, I've been riding that. I know our guy Highline Betting. He told me last week he has like a 20-1, and then he parlayed that with something. So he's a 65-1 on Blaney coming in. So he's sitting good. 12-1 on Blaney. I also have a 15-1 on Reddick. The Elliot, I believe you have one of those as well. We took that right around the Olympic break. I thought that was a crazy number for a guy who was in position to win the regular season championship. In Xfinity, I just have a Cole Custer plus 350 as well. We're riding out from around that same time, early August. And then we got Grant Enfinger 18-1. Rod, do you have any futures you're currently riding into the weekend?
Even year Joey Logano, baby. I gave that thing out way before the season even started. I said, let's not count it out. I was like, you guys are going to laugh and you're going to think Logano's not going to be able to pull it out. But yeah, even year Logano, I got that riding out there. I gave that out earlier this year.
Hell yeah. Elliot, I think you have a couple Logano tickets, right?
I've got a couple. One of them, the only one that I placed pre-Daytona that's still around is a 12-1 on Logano for the exact same reason. Even year magic for Logano. Also doubled down on it with a 16-1 in the midsummer as well. I don't remember. I think it was just after Nashville when it was like, okay, he's in, but is he going to be a shitty driver? Is he going to be Joey Logano? He's still Joey Logano. Got 2 big tickets there. I do also have a Reddick at 12-1, not quite at 15-1. You got in a little before me, I think, Seth. Xfinity, just a couple of sprinkles on Custer and Allgaier, just from bonus bets that I had because they were the dominant cars. I would have been in a really, really good position had somehow SVG made it, but obviously those odds are long for a reason. I'm not going to get $1,000 from SVG somehow winning it, obviously. But in the truck series, though, Grant Enfinger, I've got a 20-1 and a 28-1. Last week I mentioned that I had an $8 cash out and like a $3 bet for $80 on Enfinger, something around those lines. And I thought the cash out was maybe going to get bumped up, so I didn't take it. And the cash out's now down to below what I originally bet it as. So I'm going to let it ride. And if Enfinger is able to get the win, shame on those books because I would have cashed that out had it gone to about $10, $12, from that $4 bet.
Let it ride, baby. Let it ride.
Let it ride. It'll be more fun to let it ride. Is Enfinger going to win the title in that CR7 truck? Maybe not, but the books kind of know that too. That's probably why they lowered the cash out value.
That's a race we're hoping for fuckery, boys. Big fans of Grant, big fans of fuckery on Friday night. I'll tell you that.
Enfinger would be the defending Truck Series champion if it weren't for some fuckery from a guy who's now in the Cup Series. So
True.
If there will be fuckery, it will be in the Truck Series. So,
what were your guys' thoughts overall of the books this week? I thought it was pretty lame, but I think that's generally what we get for this championship race. Not a ton of value out there, in my opinion, and just not my favorite lay of the land.
So
go
ahead, Ron. No, I'm sorry, Elliot. This is why we don't get the 3 of us together, is because we all like to talk.
It's been a couple of weeks.
No, so the Cup race. I mean, obviously the championship 4, they're going to be nuked to the point where it's difficult to make money betting on all 4. But I did like the Xfinity series. They actually have some really great odds on their championship 4, and the Truck Series too has some pretty decent odds on their championship 4. So I think the way to go this week is Xfinity and trucks and sprinkle on the Cup.
Yeah, see, Rod, this is why I should just let you talk first. That was my entire point, was I like Xfinity and truck better than I do Cup this week in the books.
Yeah, I'm there with you, boys. What do you like, Rod, from an outright perspective in the Cup Series?
So even your Logano, and honestly though, this is really good value for him. I got him at 7-1 earlier in the week, so not sure what he's at right now, but I definitely know that Logano at 7-1. I don't get it. I know that when you look at the shorter odds, Blaney is at plus 350. I'm with you on that. Like I think Blaney and Logano are the two to put the bets on. Christopher Bell's at 5-1, Reddick's at 8-1. Like, I mean, for me, Logano at 7-1 is just a slam dunk.
Yeah, 7.5 now to 1, still over at FanDuel. So I think that's a good number. I have a little sprinkle, half a unit. I went down Logano just to hedge myself a little bit. And look, I think the one thing that is giving him that number is he was really mediocre at Phoenix earlier this spring. He was a mid-20s car. I think he ended up finishing in the 30th. Had some issues, did not finish that race, but wasn't a good car that day. But when you look at what he's done in the championship race, especially when he's had a couple weeks to prepare like he has coming in here, and also look at what he's done at some of these comp tracks. He hasn't blown anyone away, but had a top 5 run at Gateway, was good at Iowa. I mean, he's been up there. He hasn't been Ryan Blaney good at these comps, but outside of Blaney, he's been the most consistent, in my opinion, at these shorter flat tracks this season, Elliot.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Logano, too. You look at the stats, and it's arguably the worst statistical season in the history of motorsports that's going to have a chance to win a championship. But that's part of what NASCAR wants. Not only do they want the Game 7 moments, that's the phrase everybody uses, but in most other sports, how often does the best team actually win the title? It definitely doesn't happen every year. And arguably more often than not, it's not going to be your best team. It's going to be your hottest team that comes in and wins it. And that's what Logano's going to be hoping for. We've got the even year magic. We know that. But he hasn't won the title in every even year, only in 2 of those. But he's won 3 times at Phoenix, including in 2022 with the walk-off title. 908 career laps led here. That's nothing to sneeze at. Like you said, in the spring, wasn't great. Crashed out. I think he had a DNF or something there. Was not a good finish. But you can't rule out Logano. And really all the championship 4 here, they're not bad numbers. For Blaney at 4-1, did the same thing last year. He was 5th in the spring, 6 consecutive top 5s here. That includes 3 runner-up finishes, which include last year right behind Ross to win the title. And he's been red hot in the playoffs too. Again, maybe not the best team, but the hottest team in the playoffs. 5 of the 9 races, he's been in the top 6.
Shit, man, the Dodgers won the World Series. You talk about the worst team in the world. Blah.
Yeah, baseball was weird this year for sure. The Dodgers, they had the best player, maybe not the best team. But Logano, a guy who's been there, done that before, guy like Paul Wolf on the pit box, maybe is your Shohei Ohtani for the 22 team this week.
What have we said almost this entire season, especially in the playoffs? Don't be afraid to drink the juice because you're only going to fucking pay it if you lose, and I don't think with Blaney, there's a good chance he wins this race. 4-1 to me is a great price. That's over at FanDuel. I'll talk more. Anyone have any more outrights other than the championship fours? Because we can kind of parlay this into placement props unless you have something, Elliot.
No, not outside of the championship four. So you may as well.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to the fuck around and find out parlay of the week. This has been great to us so far. I'm parlaying Ryan Blaney top 5 -190, Cole Custer top 5 -225. This is going to give us total odds of +120 at FanDuel, at DraftKings. I'm going 5 units on this. Why I think you should be betting Ryan Blaney somehow for a top 5 and also for the outright. Not only like Elliot says, has this guy been awesome at Phoenix? Average finish of 3.0 in the next gen era. 5 for 5 finishing top 5s. Number 1 in the Phoenix next gen total speed rankings from iFantasyRace.com. In the spring, it wasn't his best day ever. I don't think he had the best car in the spring by any means, but 6th in driver rating, 3rd most laps ran inside the top 15, average running position of 9.2, which is pretty good for Phoenix because there was a lot of shaking and everything like that. And looking at some of these comp tracks for Blaney specifically, number 2 in the shorter flat total speed rankings. That's the best among the championship 4 drivers. Next best is Tyler Reddick. Mid-teens finish at Richmond, but he always kind of sucks at Richmond. Remember that? We literally had a conversation about, I bet Blaney at Richmond, Elliot, earlier this season. You're like, don't bet Blaney at Richmond. He's not good there. And
that's the thing too, is we see this with a few other drivers. They can run well on all the comp tracks, but there's usually one boogeyman. They can hit everywhere else, but Richmond for Blaney just hasn't been it. Phoenix definitely is, as you're alluding to.
Ran out of gas at Gateway. Next week comes back and he wins Iowa. So that could have been 2 wins on this style of track. And then also at New Hampshire, he was running second. He was second in total speed rankings. And then our boy McNasty just goes crazy, just goes absolute crazy, hits Blaney out of the way. He has a bad finish, but I think you could argue he could have 3 wins on this style of track this season, Rod.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, when it comes to these, like Elliot says, these outlier tracks, it's funny because you can look at how they perform at intermediate miles, right? And you look and you see, oh yeah, good. And then for whatever reason, anytime you get to like a Phoenix or whatever particular track it is for that driver, it's always like 20, 30. And you're like, how are they second all over at 3rd, 4th, 5th? And then at one track, it's just like, bam, they're in the bottom half of the running order. So yeah, I mean, every driver's got theirs, and that's why you got to pay attention. That's why you can't just take blind looks at, like, say whatever your favorite comp track is and be like, oh, well, they're good there, they've got to be good here, because in a big total grand scheme of things, sometimes you're just not good at a particular track.
Yeah.
Seth, you briefly mentioned Tyler Reddick there. I think Reddick is really, really undervalued here. It's because he's at a dog shit playoffs, only 2 top 10s, and only one other finish better than 20th, which was the beat up car at the Roval. But Phoenix, he's been good. A couple top 5s, 3 top 10s, led 68 laps in the spring, finished 10th. And we've just seen it with the 45. Super consistent regular season. And when they need to be on, we all watched that last lap at Homestead. We all know what this guy can do, the talent that he has when he needs to go out there and do it. I feel like the odds are definitely almost disrespectful to a point for Reddick compared to the others in the championship 4. Plus 950 on FanDuel.
How do you play him then, Elliot? Do you go with the plus 950? Do you think there's a shot he wins this race? Or do you maybe back him into an even money top 10 that I'm seeing out there as well?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the top 5 or top 10.
Top 5, yeah, top 5, sorry, yeah.
Even money top 5 sounds good, but I mean, like I said, Homestead, the last 15, 20 laps looked like he was cooked. The race plays out in a way where he's got a chance at the end. He goes out there and gets it done. Blaney's a hell of a good driver. Hamlin's a hell of a good driver. Reddick, right around the outside, gets it done. I just think that compared to the other guys, this should be a lot closer. I feel like a plus 950 compared to Logano, plus 750. Blaney at plus 400, and then Byron, I think, was somewhere plus 500, something like that. I think Reddick that far back, the books are putting themselves at some big risk there.
Yeah, agreed with you there. Any swings that were taken outside of the championship for drivers or no? Like I really can't. Bell's the only person I think you can make an argument for, Rod.
Well, not on outrights, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, not on
But
the outright either.
yeah, I do have a placement prop though.
Okay.
That it's the double up. It's both Chastain and Elliott. Caesars gives you these combo deals, right? Where their top 10 numbers are kind of junk on their own, but put them together in the top 10 plus 175 for Chastain and Elliott to be in the top 10 over here. For Ross Chastain, the first place and the sixth place of the last couple of years, right? The first, he won here in the fall, finished sixth in the spring, but go back a couple of races before that, runner up in 2022 in the spring, third place in 2022 in the fall, right? He had a 24th place finish there in the middle of it, but I mean, 4 out of his last 5 have been top 10 runs here. And then for Elliott, I mean, it's a little bit more of a tough sell because he's had 3 kind of terrible races in a row, and then 4 of his last 4 are outside of the top 10, but doesn't have anything to race for now. He's just literally going to be able to go put his head down and try to get himself a good, clean run here to finish the season in a very disappointing season. But 4 races before the 11th place finish in 2022, 5th place in the fall of 2021, 5th place in the spring of 2021. He won here in 2020, like we talked about, and then 7th place before that. So I think Chase Elliott can still get in the top 10. It's Chase Elliott. I feel like even if I read you off numbers, it comes down to it's Chase Elliott. He can be in the top 10. And then Ross just kind of lives there on this track. So I'm with both of those guys in the top 10 at plus 175.
I like that you're getting creative there, Rod. That this is the time of year we have to dig deep to try to find some value on some different things. So I like that call out there a lot. Elliot, anything from you for placement props?
So I got a couple top 10 numbers. I do want to once again, we'll shout out Stan here. It's very generous. Thank you very much for this. I think McDowell has Phoenix figured out lately. Last 3 races, average finish of 10th, MGM 14-1 for a top 10. I understand gladly accepting it if he wasn't literally right about to go out the door at Ford and Front Row Motorsports.
I was looking at McDowell. The best you can find is 9-1 at MGM now, but again, I can't use MGM because they don't think I'm a real person apparently. But
I was never able to make MGM work either. I'm glad it's not just me.
Yeah, no. Outside of that, though, it's a 5-1, which I think is a little too short. But 14-1, that's great value. I mean, you just don't like that he's, hey,
no, I mean, the whole last half of the year they've been terrible because they quit getting info from Ford because both he and his crew chief are going to head to Spire next year in a Chevrolet. The value for me is just not there. The only thing you may be able to take advantage of is if you get enough of those teams in early vacation mode and they really want to send it out there for one last race. That could be an advantage. And that's a reason why I have a top 10 here on Martin Truex Jr. minus 115 over at DraftKings. It's a little juicy, but they actually have some momentum the last couple of weeks. We saw P3 at Kansas, P6 at Vegas, won the pole last week at Martinsville. It didn't work out so well. Speeding penalty real early kind of trapped him. But at Phoenix, he's been in the top 10 here 16 times. That's almost half of his races here. 6th and 7th in the last 2 here. Just keeping the hopium alive for one more time for Martin Truex Jr. to get me to hit on something. And I don't like this one quite as much, but I do just as a whole for the season. We've had a few guys that we've shouted out top 10s on a lot. Sometimes they've worked, sometimes they haven't. But guys just really outrunning their equipment and showing they've had some good seasons. I got to shout out Carson Hocevar here. 6.5-1 for a top 10 on Caesars. His average finish for this year in Aspire number 77, that in basically every year before this was just total dog shit. His average finish, 18.3 on the year. That's impressive.
That's so solid, yeah.
That's impressive. He was 9th at Homestead. His Phoenix finishes are both in the top 20. Obviously, it's a long number for a top 10. I don't hate a little sprinkle on it. I wanted to try to shout out like a Todd Gilliland or something, or a Haley. The numbers just weren't there. For Hocevar, I feel like he's got the best chance, especially because Spires ran well the last few weeks. I'm excited for them next year, and I think maybe one more time for Hocevar going out there, getting an unexpected top 10. Could make you a little money outside the championship 4.
Man, Carson Hocevar continues to impress every single week. And we said it last week, Rod, like you should just be betting occasionally on these Spire boys because they're going out and outrunning the equipment and occasionally sneaking in the top 10.
It's funny what happens when your pennies fall down, right? And you're done stacking them. Like it really is amazing to me how lighter the cars get without all those pennies and how fast they go now. So, I don't know. For Carson Hocevar, he's definitely a kid that's coming into his own, and I'm really anxious to see now that he's got this all put together, and now that the team's solidified, because let's face it, the legacy experiment for him didn't work because it wasn't good equipment. Unfortunately, I love you, Jimmy Johnson, but you guys got a long way to go. So yeah,
that honestly was an advantage for him because it was more a super sub role. He wasn't going to. I think he already had the Spire deal signed when he did those sub races, so there was really no expectations there. I know the runs weren't great, but there were a few times I remember last year where it was like, oh, look at Hocevar in this car that Gregson really didn't run too well in, nor your Mike Rockenfellers or anything. That helped Hocevar too. Just more time in that cup seat probably helped him start off better this year and finish better this year.
Totally agree.
Agreed. I'll round us out in placement props. I just have one. Again, I'm going with it this time. I've named it the Big Chill College Football Moneyline Parlay. I'm going to be parlaying the Chris Bell top 10. This is like minus 600 everywhere, but reason Bet365 has minus 350. I think that's a gettable number if you can find something else. Is there F1 this week? Any F1 this week? No.
No,
they're off till Vegas at the end of the month, I think.
Okay, good. I didn't want to bet that anyway. So take the minus 350 Chris Bell top 10. I'm going to parlay that with a Georgia money line minus 140. They're playing Ole Miss. I don't trust Lane Kiffin as far as I can throw him, especially against these Georgia Bulldogs. So I'm going to parlay that. I'm going to get plus 120 on this. I'm going 3 units on this, and undefeated until Chris Bell has been undefeated. It feels like at Phoenix coming in. He won this race earlier this season, number 3 in the total speed rankings in that race earlier this year, 7.8 average finish, number 1 in driver rating that day. And he's been top 10 at 3 of the 4 next gen races at Phoenix as well. You look what he's done at the comp tracks as well, gentlemen, number 1 in the short flat total speed rankings, average finish of 4.8 at those comp tracks, no finish worse than 7 for Chris Bell. So I don't really want to get invested with the top 5. You probably could, but there's 4 guys that might have better equipment. But Chris Bell has to be on your card somehow. I couldn't find him in a matchup that was worth it, but I think we can get creative. I think everyone should be getting creative with that minus 350 top 10 over there at Bet365, Elliot.
Yeah, I mean, as I've said before, I can't endorse college football bets, but I can endorse Christopher Bell running ball at Phoenix. And the Toyota's running fast there too, which makes a shout out again to Stan. Truex top 10 still at plus 120 over on Bet365.
Don't do it, Stan. Don't do it.
I guess they haven't caught up yet. They might now, so go get those bets in real quick over there. I don't think I have any Bell on my card. I know you want to. I know he runs well enough here. It's one way or the other. Are they going to be real disappointed about how last week went and not throw out the really fast car there, or are they going to want to, MF everybody and really
win? I think he's live to win. I'm not betting him. I'm not betting him to win, but I would not be shocked if Chris Bell wins this. He's the one guy.
You take a look at it too. The last 2 years he was in the championship 4, and 1 year he wrecked out or had some issue, and the other year I don't think he was he wasn't one of the front 2 cars at least, because I think it was it last year or 2 years ago that he crashed out?
Last year, I think his brakes went. Yeah, his rotors
right.
went.
Last year's brakes went, and then the year before, obviously, it was Logano, and then I think Chastain right behind him.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, good point. Do you guys have anything else for the Cup Series, whether that's matchups or specials? I have nothing else for Cup. Did you guys find anything of intrigue?
Well, I always got one in my pocket, but I also want you to throw in the Army Black Knights in there. Take the money line at minus 195 and put that in that parlay as well.
UCF, is that who they're playing? UCF this weekend?
No, they're playing North Texas.
Okay.
Mean green.
The number 18 Army Black Knights. Love this. No, give me the winning car number. It's over 21.5 that I'm taking at plus 190. It gives you 2 of the 4 championship drivers, right? It gives you Reddick, it gives you Logano, but it also gives you a bunch of other powerhouses on the other side of that if you want them. But for me, the plus money side of this, it covers the other 2. Like the under was juiced too much. I didn't want to take the under. So I think taking plus money for half of the championship drivers is a good enough deal for me. And then, you've got some guys out there above that number that can.
What is it? Over 19.5? Is that what it is?
No, it's over 21.5. So it's really the Logano cutoff is what it ends up being.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting Byron too, so you're getting 3. You're getting 3.
That's right. 3. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Byron. So you're getting 3 of the 4.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay.
You're
so
getting Byron.
Blaney. Yeah.
You're forgetting Byron because it probably should have been Bell in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Neither here
You know
nor
what?
there.
That's funny because I was thinking in my head, I was like, well, it doesn't give you Bell. And I'm like, wait, Bell's not in this anymore.
Yeah.
So it gives you 3 of the 4. Here's my argument. 3 of the 4 championship drivers above this number. And really the only one that doesn't give you is Blaney. And if you want a better number, just bet Blaney outright. So yeah, this hedges you just in case one of the other 3 win and you don't have a ticket on them.
That's not bad.
You have a few other decent cars in there that are, they haven't not won races before, we'll say. But yeah, 3 of the championship 4 is why you're betting that. And something cool that I noticed Caesars was doing, if you just want more money into that championship 4, Group A in all 3 series is just the championship 4. For Blaney, it's plus 170. He's the favorite there. Byron's a plus 300, the 45 and the 22, both a plus 320. I don't know that I have a favorite there any different than what we've said, but it is nice to have some money. Just more ways to bet the championship 4 if you're really feeling squirrely, or if you want to hedge yourself, throw something in the group bet to get yourself one of the guys you don't already have.
I just feel like you have to win that group, though. So I'm just going to take But I appreciate that they at least do it.
If you got a title bet from Daytona on one guy and you got the outright on one guy, but then, well, maybe this guy could win too, throw a little sprinkle in the group bet and it can help you, because all they have to beat are those guys, whether they win or not. Because we've seen it happen before. We saw it last year. It was P2, but we saw a non-winner champion in that race, which that's got to be awkward for Chastain, because the races are all called the series championships. It's like, hey, I was the winner of the NASCAR Cup Series championship. Oh, so you're a champion? No, that's not quite how it works.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Anything else for
if you in a court of law, Ross Chastain is the winner of the NASCAR Cup Series championship in 2020.
It's true. You can't take it away from. You can't. I need to get that die cast. I need to add to the collection.
Yeah.
Race.
Yes. I wish they'd add race to the end of it, but they like the championship better than the title, I guess.
Anything else you have for the Cup Series, Elliot? Wow, light week for us. Light week.
Rod and I both started out the segment by saying we like Xfinity and truck a lot better. So this is where the real bread is going to be buttered this week, I feel like.
All right, let's go to Saturday night. It's going to be a big one. I'm excited for it. What do you guys have for us here?
Rod, I'll let you lead it off, man.
Give me AJ Allmendinger. My heart beats for AJ in his last.
Good number. It's a good number.
It's a wild good number, but it's for good reason.
Where's it at? Where's 20-1?
You got 20-1?
I saw 23-1 boosted on Caesars.
There you go.
You got 23-1?
Yeah.
That's I didn't lay any coin on it because I do not like Allmendinger this week, but I will let Rob.
No, and look, and rightfully so, Elliot. I will tell you right now, I'm not even going to read you his track stats because they do not back my argument.
They're not that bad. They're not that bad at all.
No, they're actually not.
They're kind of mid. Yeah, they're kind of mid.
For real. I feel like
are you looking at his Cup stats, maybe, or?
I'll keep going. That
was an interesting wrinkle that I saw with the Xfinity Championship.
He's got
3 of the 4 have run full Cup seasons before.
He's got 2 top 5s and okay. Well, he's 2 top 5s in his career.
He does have 3 top 5 finishes at Phoenix. That is true.
2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, which is good.
Okay,
He's
around
that. But as far as winning this race, he's not winning this race. He's going to be a good contender. He's going to be a top 5 car. He's going to be a top 3 car. I hope he wins because I would love to see it. And at the number, right, I think he's being highly disrespected when it comes to the championship 4. And we know that he's an emotional driver 1. And I don't know that he entered. He hasn't been a playoff driver in the championship 4 in a while, has he? So
I don't know if he ever has.
I don't think he ever has.
I want to say once.
He won the regular season championship last year. Or was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago.
I want to say once. I wanted to look up something else too, so I'll go ahead and pull up his racing reference real quick.
Yeah,
and we'll get some numbers on that.
But I still love the number because for a championship 4 driver, this is such a huge number. And I get it, Elliot. I know that he's not sexy and all that. His average finish here is 10th, but there's a chance. There really is a chance for Allmendinger. This is his last time as an Xfinity Series driver. He's moving to the Cup full time next year, so this is it. He's got to go out the door with the championship.
He also won at Las Vegas, so they've had the longest time to prepare this car. You're telling me Matt Colley doesn't want to add that trophy to his case? I mean,
trophies, baby, hunting trophies.
I legitimately think if there's still 23-1 out there on Caesars, take a nibble, do a 1/10 of a unit. I'm going to after hearing that. I didn't see that, so thank you guys for that. What's the best top 5 number you guys can find for Dinger right now? I think even like I saw maybe a 2-1 I was flirting with a little bit earlier. I don't think that's a terrible deal, but he might be. Is he checkers or wreckers really, you think, Elliot?
So his in 2021, he was fourth in the Xfinity series. So that would mean he was in the championship for that year. And it's not even just that I don't like Phoenix for Allmendinger. It's that I don't really like his ovals this year. You only have a handful of top fives at ovals. I see Charlotte, he was fifth. Portland's a road course. And there was, I think, only one other top five. A Vegas win.
Okay.
Those since Charlotte in May, race 12 of the year, all the way down to race 32. Those are his only two top fives on ovals. It just hasn't been a great year for Allmendinger in general in Xfinity. Obviously, it's the same with Logano. You be clutch when the time is right. You're a veteran driver who's done it before. Well, not win a championship, but won races before. But only 5 career laps led at Phoenix. He finished 18th in the spring. And as far as I know, that's not an asterisk mark finish. That's just Colleague's Xfinity program. Went heavy on road courses this year for good reason. Hasn't really worked out well in the ovals. You get the win when you need it. Create those Game 7 moments. Have it be the hottest team, not the best team that wins. All the same cliches I threw out there for Logano, throw them out there for Allmendinger, especially because they are insanely good numbers. Even the 5-1 to win the group that I'll bring up later of the Championship 4 guys. Any way you can make money on Allmendinger is not bad. I just think you're pissing money down the toilet if you do it.
Yeah,
Top 5, by the way, Seth, is plus 225.
Yeah, I would flirt with that. I'd flirt with that for sure. I like Dinger, man. Give him 3 weeks to prepare. I think he'll be running hot here. Rod, did you have anything else you were eyeing pretty heavily for Xfinity?
So I love me some Jesse Love. Top 5 car at plus 450. Jesse Love has been one of those drivers this season that has just jumped on and turned some heads, right? That 2 car is something that now people are like, well, I mean, I know Sheldon Creed had it last year, but like, I think Jesse Love has made it his own this year. And I'm a big fan of what he's done so far, just in the limited amount of time that he's been able to be in this. He started off the season red hot, right? 2 poles right out of the jump on Daytona and Atlanta.
Yep.
He finished second at Phoenix earlier in the season, went on a 5th place at Richmond, a 9th place at Texas. He actually won Talladega, but I know it's a super speedway even still. But 3rd at Nashville, right? That's another mile track.
Sure.
And then 4th at Bristol. And then you turn around 6th at Vegas, 4th in Miami, Homestead, 12th at Martinsville. Like, he's been good when it counts on tracks that are close to this as well. So I think a top 5 for him, especially at plus 450. He's probably one of the other guys that's not a championship driver that's going to be riding around up front for most of the day.
Yeah.
Elliot, did you have any interest in Love?
I don't love this week, but I like Love. I do think this might be a year where it does take a win just because of the guys that you have up there. Of course, not Allmendinger, Allgaier and Custer being guys who have run up front a lot of the year, and Austin Hill, a guy who has been able to pull the rabbit out of his hat a couple of times this year. It may take a win this year. It took a win last year with Custer. But I don't hate Love this week. And there's some non-playoff guys that I am considering on this card for sure.
Okay. Who are you looking at then in the Xfinity series?
For me, for the title, it's a little Gator. 3.5 to 1, plus 425 on a Caesars boost that I saw. Crashed out in the spring, had some typical Allgaier luck, led 52 laps. And
He's leading, yeah.
Something while I was leading. He's won twice at Phoenix, led almost 600 laps, 10 career top 5s, 18 top 10s. Has crashed out in each of the last 2 spring races, rebounded to finish 3rd each of the last 2 fall races. He's run, I think it's 14 full-time Xfinity seasons and hasn't gotten it done. I think this is the year for Lil Gator.
It would be awesome. It'd be a great story. Unfortunately, I think it's Cole Custer, bro. I think Cole Custer takes it. I am on Custer. I'm on that top 5. I'm parlaying that with Blaney's. I'm also going to go down on the outright for a unit as well. Won this race last year, had an average laps led here at Phoenix of 65 across the last 3 races since he's been back with SHR in that 00 car. 2 out of 3 of those races have resulted in top 5 finishes for Custer. That includes the spring, where he was the 3rd fastest in speed by segment. Average position of 3.1 as well. So he's running up front. It isn't a fluke. He's won 2 stages. He's been the runner-up in 2 other stages here at Phoenix as well. The comp so far this season for Cole Custer, 10th at Richmond. He's never been good at Richmond. I'm kind of throwing that one out. 6 at one of our other comps, and then 3rd at New Hampshire. I think that other comp I just have comp written there. I don't even know what rate. I'm trying to think what other one they've been to, so I apologize about that. But Cole Custer, he's a unit. I think he's pissed off. Just got punched in the face. Let's go.
So we're split across the board here between 3 different guys. So that should tell you to bet Austin Hill for the title, I think.
Yeah, Hill ain't bad here either. This is honestly kind of a tough one to comp, I thought, because Hill ain't bad here either.
It is. And the group number is pretty close here, too. You have the 7 at plus 210, double zeros plus 225, 21's plus 250. And then, like I said, Allmendinger all the way back at 5-1 if you're looking to bet the group here.
Okay.
And anyone else has Xfinity bets before? Because I've got 3 different bets on a guy who's not in the championship 4.
Okay. All I will say is that one track I didn't have the name. It was Loudon. It wasn't just comp track. Yeah. So did want to relay that information. Also, I have one more Xfinity bet. Connor Zilic over Brandon Jones minus 115 apiece. Okay. Everyone's coming with me on this.
Synchronicity, yep.
Yeah, Connor 3-0 against Brandon this season. Brandon isn't bad at Phoenix by any means. 13.7 average finish in the JRM cars here at this track. But both times the JRM 88 has been in a race this season at the comp tracks. They have beaten Brandon. 6 by Bubba Pollard at Richmond, 5th by Carson Kvapil at New Hampshire. So I'm signing up for the 88 car. I'm signing up for the talent of Zilic here. Elliot, it sounds like you're on this as well. And Rod.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the numbers this week were a little disrespectful toward Zilic in that 88 as well. I don't have his outright. I don't think there's a chance in hell he wins. His top 5 at plus 450. Top 5 plus 450 I liked. I love that bet over Brandon Jones because you got them both at minus 115. That's kind of ridiculous. And then Group B also on, I think it was Caesars. I don't have it down, but I also was looking at 365 and a couple others. He would be at plus 260. That's to beat Riley Herbst, who's at plus 190. Jesse Love at plus 210. Brandon Jones at plus 350. With Zilic, I think he's going to look at this race and this team, they're going to look at it as, hey, we've had a lot of fun this year. We got to run Dale. We got to run Bubba Pollard. We got to run Carson Kvapil. And now we're getting to run Zilic. They've had a lot of fun this year. And Zilic is going to look at it as, hey, this time next year, there's no reason why he shouldn't be one of those championship 4 running for the title. I think they're almost going to mock it as if they're in that situation. And I think it's going to result in a very good 88 car that at the very least can win a couple of these bets in the matchups and groups, even if he doesn't quite get to the top 5. You're going to know the 88 was there this coming Saturday and probably a lot of next year too. Watch out for this kid.
I'm
as we all know.
And not to mention Jones is out the door too. Jones is going back to JG4. So he's got no loyalties anymore. He can just ride this race out and not try. He can either A, try to go balls out and win, or
that's
B,
what he's going to do.
Well,
and he's going to piss himself into the wall. Yeah.
And he'll wreck.
Yeah. Also, Stan saying, oh, he bet Martin Truex Jr. What? Come on, Stan. Come on.
One more time, because I don't know that any of us are going to touch him in the 500 in a potential 4th 2311 car, especially having never won a super speedway. So it's one last bet for MTJ and Cup. Maybe some of those Xfinity races. I'm excited to see what he has up his sleeve there. Maybe pairing with Ryan for a couple things. But last Cup Series bet is going to be this MTJ top 10 for me.
Okay. Yeah, I respect. I like you and Stan riding off in the sunset. I did it a couple weeks ago, if you remember, Rod. I finally got back in bed with him at Homestead. What did he do? Not finish top 10. So
he left you without leaving a note. That's what he did.
I'm driving the number 19 car off a cliff one more time.
And then he blocked me. As well. Stan must have had a good week at Martinsville. He's being incredibly generous.
I hope you're not doing this by mistake. I hope you didn't mean to only hit the button once and you're just hitting the button again.
Stan, we appreciate you saying drivers not completing 156 laps over 1.5 at plus 165 on Caesars.
Honest to God, I gave this one a peek earlier because you could have the typical chaos that you have, a lot of mid-pack guys, early vacation mode, maybe some of this, hey, I haven't gotten you back all year. Fuck you. I'm putting you into the wall. And also the fact that as we saw with Bell last year, running down the brakes, all 4 of these championship 4 cars are going to be to the absolute limit, could result in mechanical issues like we saw last year with the 20.
Yeah. Saying also 7 of the last 10 races where at least 38 drivers entered have won this bet. More bottom feeders. Like you're probably
that is a really good point too. There's 4 open cars in this race as well as your chartered 36, and none of those 4 that have run particularly well. That includes the 84 Jimmy Johnson.
I was about to say, yeah,
like on the lead lap. Give me a Jimmy Johnson on the lead lap? I probably wouldn't even bet it.
I was about to say you can definitely factor in Jimmy for this. This ain't a this is a good bet, Rod. How do you feel about this one?
I hadn't considered both. I love it, Rod. I'm sure. Other than forgive the Jimmy slam there, but you understand.
Look, I get it. And even now, like I love Jimmy in the booth because that's the most I get to hear him and see him on a week to week basis. So
yeah, I think he lives over in London now. I think so. It's
really, good for
I
him.
think I heard that somewhere.
Yeah, I believe he does. Not only does Stan come in and give us $20, but he comes in and gives us an absolute hammer. I might be adding this to my card. I haven't done it.
I might have to take the $20 and put it on it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I haven't done a ton of specials the last couple of months, so this might be one that gets me there. Thank you, Stan. I appreciate it, buddy. Yeah, that's an absolute hammer there. Ellie, did you have anything else for Xfinity?
There's one other I'll shout out just for fun. Almirola is in the race again. Anytime Almirola is in that 20 car, he's 4-1. So I do think he'll race respectfully.
Almi,
I think
that could a lot of money.
That could put him at a disadvantage. He's got a matchup against Chandler Smith. They're both at -115. I think Eric will race.
Chandler's good here. Chandler's
Chandler's going to be balls out, and Chandler Smith doesn't give a fuck who's in the championship for. He's going to try to win a race because he's still looking for a good ride for next year.
I hope Cole Custer punts his ass.
Yeah, that may be the end result, but it could also be that Chandler Smith punts Cole Custer and ends up maybe Almirola gets involved and you have the 81 finish ahead of both of them. Who knows?
An idea for off-season content, we should do like a tiers list of drivers that would win in a fight. And Chandler Smith would be F tier for sure. He ain't getting he's going to get punted, bro.
Let's see. Here's what I want to see. And this is no me referring to it as this is no insult because you look at me, I'm the same. Heavyweight battle between Custer and Austin Hill after this championship race. Allmendinger rides off into the sunset. Those two get into each other, and that's why heavyweight brawl, baby. That'd be
handicap
so much fun.
That, Rod. What are the odds? Who's the favorite in that race or in that fight?
I feel like I'm going to give Austin Hill the favorite in this one because Cole Custer's scrappy, but like Austin Hill, that dude's big country. Like he's just an empowering guy, right?
I would agree if Custer hadn't spent some time in those WWE rings the last couple weeks. I would agree if not for that.
That's good handicapping, right?
Well, it was. I don't know the WWE world very well, but from what I've been told, it's like their development series. So he uses triple A guys.
It's NXT.
That's almost say that it's the Xfinity series of WWE. You know, there's still some Xfinity drivers that are pretty damn good and can go up and do well in the Cup Series.
True. And he looked like a stud out there, honestly.
Even though it's all kayfabe and everything, you still got to perform those moves, you know.
Oh, and just like the Xfinity series, there's the WWE main roster guys that come down and kind of compete every once in a while.
A little bit of bushwhacking in the NXT.
little hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yeah, Hacksaw, baby. I saw him this summer.
Let's get to some truck series odds. They're pulled down right now, so I don't have anything for trucks. So I will lean on our veterans, both Rod and Elliot. Elliot, let's start with you. What do you got, man?
This, honest to God, it feels like Christian Eckes' race to lose. 3-1 outright, plus 110 over Heim. I know Heim's the dominant guy, but Christian Eckes is putting together a historically good season across the board. Has 4 wins this year, I think. Won this race last year. Only has had 1 finish in 22 races this year outside of the top 10. It was in race number 2 this year, crashed out at Atlanta. No worse than P9 since Charlotte. Last 11 races, top 10 or top 6 in 10 of them, top 3 in 8 of them. This is a guy that has been up front consistently, and winning races is big. You can be a shitty driver and win a title. I've talked about that with Allmendinger not having his best year and Logano not having his best year. But also running well, running consistently. Winning at old school is also a way to win a championship, and I think for Eckes, that's the path he'll use.
Rod, are you on Eckes as well?
So Cody's on Eckes 100,000% too, and I get it and I back it and I think that's true. The only problem is that Corey Heim's number is unbettable, plus 165 to win this race. There's no way on God's green earth you're gonna get value on that because Eckes could come out and just kick everyone's ass, and then that's it, right? And then you're done and you're cooked. So I don't like betting Heim just for that. Do I think he can win? Sure, it's been Heim time all season long, but I think you're right with the Eckes number for sure. And then I know Enfinger is also another one out there. We were talking about him a little bit before. We said it in our truck series show earlier today. Don't sleep on the finger, or it's going to fall asleep, and then you're going to have to, But we're all about the finger in this one. But I think Majeski at plus 450 is also a good little dabble. He's not good when you look at him. He's definitely not somebody that makes you feel good, but this will be the, opportunity for him to win the championship and shut everybody up and finally get that monkey off his back. He's not terrible. We know he's capable of running up front. We know he's capable of winning races. He's just got to put it together. And hopefully this is the week that he does it. So I like Majeski at plus 450 as well.
I want to believe in Enfinger so bad. 12-1 outright. He's done well at the comp tracks. IRP was third. Richmond, he was fourth. He led 70-plus laps in both of those races. And it's a team that is the hottest team in the garage right now, in my opinion. They went and won 2 in a row. But I just worry that I don't know if the equipment disadvantage is going to be too much, because you have ThorSport, that's been the best Truck Series team generally for a long time. TRICON is now, they've taken over the mantle from Kyle Busch Motorsports as the top Toyota team. And then the 19 is McAnally. I think they've run well to be respected enough in the trucks too. And I like Enfinger as a driver. It's just, I just don't know if they have championship winning. But then again, you don't have to win a championship. You can win the race. You can finish 5th in the race, beat all the other guys, do well enough to win the title.
I don't think I'll be betting on him, but shout out Ty Majeski, who just ate a $12.5 fine for going back home to Wisconsin to make sure his vote was counted. Shout out Ty Majeski. I appreciate that. That's a cool thing he did. He missed the media day. That's pretty much why he's eating that fine.
Yeah, what initially confused me was I just assumed that most of these guys would be registered in the Charlotte area. So you just go down to wherever his polling place is, but still registered up there in Wisconsin, whatever. I don't give a fuck about the political angle of it. It's just, it sucks because you make the championship 4, you don't know you're going to be in until the week after, and it's such a way to get your team out there. Majeski was a guy that was out of he was in the Xfinity series with Roush, didn't run so well, was really out of the top 3 series for, I think it was 3 years. I didn't have a full-time ride in any of the top 3 series. Gets back in with ThorSport, does well enough to make the championship 4. That's a great story to tell. He's won a couple races this year. That's a great story to tell. ThorSport's only dog in the race, a historic Truck Series team. That's a great story to tell. You just weren't there to tell it. We're members of the media to an extent. That's the way I'm looking at it here. I understand his case. I understand you can still tell the story and not have him present at the media day, but I can understand the fine. Maybe they'll reduce it a little bit, even just a ceremonial fine of, how about $98 in the 98 truck? Reduce that fine to $98. That way you still set the precedent, but you don't give him a hefty fine.
Why is the media day on the election day? That's all I'm
saying. That's another good point, though.
We've known election day's been there forever.
Yeah. They could have done like Truck and Xfinity on the same day, or they could have done it Monday, or they could have done it even just when they all get to the track. Like why can't they do their media day before practice today or after practice? That's another really good point too. I don't want to ignore that. Doing your civic duty is important, but I'm just playing the devil's advocate on that side of it.
Rod, you're an American hero. What do you think about this?
That's a great point.
Honestly, they could have made an exception. They could have made a day where they just said, all right, we're going to let you guys go do what you need to do. We'll meet early on Wednesday, and then we'll be good. But then the people will be complaining, I got to get up early on Wednesday, so I'm going to do this media day. But, to me, it's like, I think that the whole day should be off anyways for everybody, because I do believe that is such an important day that no one should have to take off of work or hopefully get home from work in time to do this, because that just doesn't seem like now, I get companies are like, well, no, because we need you to work. Okay, well then let's turn the election to another day that people don't have to work. I don't know. It's a whole big can of worms, but I do respect the people that still hold it sacred and want to do it. So yeah. But I will say, go ahead.
I was going to say another good point I didn't think of was ThorSport's not based in North Carolina. They run their operations out of Sandusky, Ohio.
Yeah.
So they're not in the Charlotte hubbub. Maybe he's not in the Charlotte hubbub all the time either, which is something once again I didn't think of, didn't realize.
So practice results though are in. Corey Heim's the fastest. Grant Enfinger's the second fastest. Majeski, Taylor Gray, Connor Mosak, Christian Eckes, Stuart Friesen, William Sawalich, Lane Riggs, and Dean Thompson rounding out the top 10 with Caden Honeycutt just on the outside of
Where's Finger? Where's Finger?
He was second. That gives me some hope.
Let's ride. Let's ride.
We've got Seth and I both have the tickets. We want.
Let's fucking ride, boys.
Just man, oh man, what a story that would be. Go out. Your team as a whole hasn't won. You get royally screwed out of the championship and lose your ride because of funding to go out there, win 3 of the last 4, win the title. I would love that. Taylor Gray being up there helps too, because my other truck bet, Group B, Taylor Gray at plus 240, over Ankrum at plus 210, Rhodes at plus 240, Raja Karuth at plus 260. None of those names I think I heard as high as Taylor Gray. In the practice results, he's a guy that's motivated. He's a guy that's heading to Xfinity next year, but I guarantee you if he is racing around that number 19 truck, I think he's too classy to dump him, but he is not going to make life easy on Eckes.
I like the cut of Taylor Gray's jib, man. I
Yeah.
like the cut of this guy's jib. He's got fucking moxie, and that's what we need in the truck series. So I'm all like, what do you call them? Shifties, Rod? That's the fan club over there. Sign me the fuck up. I'm a shifty after last week, my friend.
Well, that was my thought process too. I mean, he was a guy that was not really on my radar until we were at Pocono, Seth, and he goes out and runs top 5 in the trucks, runs the Xfinity car next day, runs top 5 again. He's been on my radar since. I think that he and that Ty Gibbs little 54 next year, a championship 4 might be a little lofty. But I do think that that's going to be really interesting to watch for him next year, full-time in Xfinity. And like I said, he's not going to make life easy on Eckes at Phoenix.
Agreed.
Probably not going to make life easy on him next year in Xfinity, which will be fun to watch.
Agreed. Well, guys, great bets from everyone this week. Let's go ahead. Let's shift gears here and round it out the tire tiers. What do you say?
Let's go ahead and rank them on the board one last time and get it rolling. I feel like this year we've come a long way with the tiers here. I know back in the day we would use it as an introduction, basically talk about every driver in the field. Not so much anymore, and we definitely like it better this way, and I feel like everyone else does too. Still a fun thing to do. A little, it's fun to have the little bubbles, the different paint schemes and stuff here that you can barely see on the StreamYard, but hey, whatever. We've got 40 cars entered this week, which is awesome. Your open cars are, I think I might have forgotten open cars.
JJ Yaley, Chad
Yaley's in the
Fincham.
44. Yeah, Fincham in the 66. Jimmy in the 84. Kaz Grawl is in the 15. Kraus is in the 16. Who I forgot. The 50 was a late entry. He's in here. He's in here, but I didn't write him on the list. Jeb Burton for Team Amerivet, which formerly was the money team. Floyd Mayweather no longer involved with that operation. They're going to run, I think, half the races next year. Maybe that's Jeb Burton's plan for next year. If so, good for him. For now, just a one-race deal there. None of those guys are on the fantasy radar. They're just somebody to watch for your lower price tiers because they're at the bottom. The guys at the top, Ryan Blaney, 11,200. Byron at 11,000. Logano, 10,800. Reddick, 10,500. Bell, 10,300. And on down the board, your championship 4 has got to be your top 4. How do we want to put them up there?
Oh,
I like Blaney. I like Blaney.
I was going to say it has to be Blaney, I think, at the top.
Yeah. He's red hot right now. Boy, that guy, as soon as he got done with that race, too, you could see he gave everything he had to that whole race. Just
to the point, I don't know if you guys saw some of his comments in the media center post-race. He's in the media center. He has no fucking idea what happened with the race manipulation and everything like that. And it was the quote of the year for me is they ask him, man, you got out there, you won that race. Are you glad to not be involved in any of this drama? He's like, you're fucking right, I am, boys.
yeah.
He's in that championship 4, and I think he's right up there. You might just have to put this in the price order, honestly. 12, 24, 22, 45, I think might be the move. Unless one of you guys have.
No.
Okay.
No.
Maybe some more faith in Reddick, but let's hear it.
No. 10-3 Chris Bell. I think he's
You're right.
He is the second best driver this week for DFS because everyone's going to do exactly what Elliot just fucking did. And they're saying, how can I get all the championship 4 drivers in my lineup? Well, hey, you should be going down to, well, yeah, you can't do that. Obviously.
You could do 3 of them in JJ Yaley and you might be all right.
Yeah, a little Chad Fincham action down there, 4,500 action, but still, regardless, I think Chris Bell, I laid out the case for him earlier. He's been top 10 at every single comp this year, Chris Bell. And then you can make your case. I would go personally the 22, 24, and then 45, but I can be proven wrong. Logano's been dog shit for DFS all year.
Yeah,
and here we are with him being able to win a championship. So I'm with you on Logano, though. I like him right where he's at.
We got Nick saying, welcome to the Shifties, Seth and Elliot. Thank you. We are in the fan club, finally. It took us all year, but we are here, Nick. We are ready. We ride with the Shifties.
Hey, we had a blank space, baby. We wrote your name.
All right. If we're going to make Taylor Swift references, at least they're throwbacks. I can respect that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. The only other 2 I'm considering here are the 5 and the 1 for A. I don't even know if they're worthy of A.
No. Dude, Kyle Larson was dog shit. He wasn't great in this Phoenix race last year, and he was dog shit in the spring as well. So I'm out on Kyle Larson.
I'd probably say bottom tier B. Rod, do you have any objection to that? Any Larson thoughts?
I think one would be a high B tier.
Agreed.
So we'll put them both up there now, and let's start to figure out who we want to put in between. Maybe a Hamlin. Maybe start the SHR train Chase Briscoe, I got the Kevin Harvick Gravedigger koozie here. Shout out SHR and cheers to everybody at that team for the years of work. They're still going to be around partially with Haas Factory team, but that's going to be a lot different operation. Shout out to everyone over there at SHR one more time.
My bud.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, man, it gets real tough real quick. Chase Elliott probably should be up there. He's been a weapon at Phoenix before, 9,500. I'd rather play him than Larson, honestly. Like save yourself a little bit of coin, I think, and go with Chase. Outside of that, like who else are we even considering? Like this is bad early. Like I don't know.
Maybe
slate.
Who was that, Ron?
I said no. I said it's an ugly.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Like fuck, are we putting Austin Dillon in the C's? He's had some runs lately. Like honest to God, 43 points last week. And if they still have the data that they allegedly stole from Richmond, like this is a contract. So yeah, I mean,
where are we putting Kyle Busch? We're going to talk RCR or C's, D's. I know somebody put in the comment, can Kyle Busch win one? Can he break that streak? No.
That was Chuck. Yeah.
It was Chuck too. Overall, too, I mean, it was the Cup win streak that was so big for Kyle Busch, but also you factor in his Xfinity and his truck wins, he would walk out some years with 15 wins across all three series. He should be glad he got that one truck win because otherwise he would be walking out with a complete goose egg in all the top three series, which would be really shocking. But he did nab one truck win in the 7, and that was it for him this year.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, probably a D for Rowdy, C for Rowdy.
Yeah,
he's got to be on the board. But
yeah, he's expensive, 8,000 still. Like who's playing Rowdy at this point in the year? Two that I would recommend. Maybe a high D for Austin Cindric. He's in the Penske camp. Like we know they're going to be fast. 7,500, a little bit more than I would love to pay for him, but.
With Cindric too being the only Penske car not in the playoffs, I think he even alluded to this after the Roval. Is like, yeah, maybe now that we're out, we're gonna have to try some funky shit and get ready. So
true.
He may have put in the work there in that 2 car.
I would throw Bubba in the C's.
I'm cool with it.
Because Bubba for DFS, he started 22nd in the spring, finished 16th, 10th place finish in 2023, 14th place after starting 19th in the spring of 2023. So 3 pretty decent DFS days. He's not killing you, but he's also not probably winning you a week.
Yeah, cheers also. I know he's suspended for the week, but cheers Booty Barker, assuming he doesn't get back on a pit box.
Yeah, Booty's got to ride this one out on the sidelines. That's sad.
About it.
That's sad. What? Is this a Booty Barker shade?
Booty Barker slander.
I'm not worried about it. Like I don't think
okay.
I don't even,
yeah.
For this race, I don't give a fuck who's on the pit box. It doesn't matter. I just mean Booty Barker's a legend ever since.
Yeah.
Elementary school on Speed Channel. That's
pour one out. 6,400. He got brought up in the comments. I believe that was Stan McNasty. I think McNasty, whether you want to call him a C, the guy scored over 35 points in the spring at Phoenix. He's been a weapon in the desert. So I do like McNasty a little bit as well.
I'm thinking high D unless Rod has a major opposition, just because it started off well. He announced in like May he was going to Aspire, and it's just tanked.
Yeah, I don't have any objections.
What about Carson Hocevar? I think he belongs on the board. 21, 44, 2, 40, 56. Those are his point totals the last couple of weeks. He's been on a mission. I don't know what we're going to get from out of Phoenix, but I mean, he's just been a bargain every single week. 6,700. He's rising up the board, but still not high enough in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's not bad. Some higher price guys I think probably need to be in the C's or the 19 and the 11. 19, I would even probably accept a D, but I feel like they have to be considered here, even if they're both Ds, just because they both have some pedigree here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or F for fishing.
F for fishing.
All right, I don't hate that. I'll put Denny in the Ds just because it's one of those deals where if you're going to go with a high price guy like this, it makes more sense to go with somebody that's got something to fight for and not somebody mentally on a fishing boat, like you said, or a guy that's more worried about his role as an owner on the day than as a driver.
Yeah, and his lawsuit for sure.
And in the lawsuit too. I wasn't even going to mention that, but yeah.
Why is Jimmy not the A's?
That's supposed to be by tomorrow. I think we're going to get a ruling on that primary injunction that may just kill the lawsuit before it starts. We'll have to see.
Jeez.
Go ahead and follow your Glucks and your Pockerses and your guys like that. Jimmy, we're not putting Jimmy on the board, are we?
on the A's, right? That's
Did-
Yeah, if this is 20 even 2016 Jimmy really had no business winning that championship. Just got lucky that Logano blocked Carl Edwards, hit him hard enough that he decided to quit racing in the Cup Series.
Yeah, for real. That was if I'm remembering correctly, that was a bullshit phantom caution, right? That caused that whole thing to.
I don't think it was a phantom, but it was a car that had no business being out there that caused that caution flag. Like, I'm almost certain that it's a team that doesn't exist anymore. It's maybe like a Cole Witt type deal or somebody like that.
But
yeah, and then just
speaking
the
of Legacy Motor Club, excuse me, I would throw Eric Jones somewhere on the board.
Legacy Waterboarding Club for just torturing these two guys. I mean,
Eric Jones, he was actually a legitimate top 10 car when we were at Phoenix earlier this year. He started fourth, ended up wrecking out of that, so he F'd you for DFS, but he could have speed here. We've seen it from him before. Also, another absolute hammer from our guy Stan. Stan, you're being far too generous tonight, my friend. Thank you so much. Saying RFM was once a joke. Michael McDowell helped put them on the map. He is beloved by his team, and every man will be on deck for his last race with them. Worth a C. Yeah, bump him up to the C's, Elliot. Have a heart.
All right, like I said, they're going to be one of the 10 teams that aren't in early vacation mode. That is a really good point. I give some respect for him. And like I said, a great journey to bring them up from. They weren't. I don't know if they were peak shitters when he arrived there, or if they were like D tier shitter or something like that. But yeah, to take that team to a Daytona 500 winner, pretty awesome story for McDowell. And like I said, Spire next year across the board is going to be a weapon. I don't know if we want to rank the 7 or the 71 this week in particular. Spire's a weapon next year. We're going to talk about that in the offseason quite a bit.
Yeah, throw them in there. Throw them in the S. I mean, all the Spires need to be ranked to this point. The only issue for DFS, excuse me, with Spire down the stretch here is they qualify pretty well. They qualify top 20, top 25 a lot, so they don't give you a ton of differential. So I haven't been playing them a shit ton down the stretch, but yes, still I think they belong there. Also, can we get some love for fucking Ryan Preece? Check out his DFS.
I was going to say it's time for all the Stewart-Haas cars to either go in the C's or the D's, if not even a B, with how well they've run lately.
I would Preece in the B for sure.
Oh, wow. Low B.
Because he actually has been really good here. So, and yeah.
And I think you got to put Barry and Gregson probably in the C's as well, especially Barry. One last shot for Childers at SHR, short enough track that he can potentially be a weapon.
Yeah, Keselowski.
10th in the total speed ranking in the short flats, which my dumbass didn't remember I had next to me to help me with these tiers. Keselowski, yeah.
I wouldn't even touch it because he hasn't been good here.
8,600. And I know iFantasy Race put out a tweet that maybe I can pull up in the next 10 seconds here to not waste everybody's time. Is Phoenix, they have not looked great on paper. 2024, number 1 race, he was 4th. And then some pretty mid finishes. I see 15th and 18th last year.
But he started 31st last year, so he didn't
started deep in the field, got stage points in both stages in 2023. Race number 1, late cautions chaos breaks out, and he fell back, according to Ryan there, and got into the wall in the closing laps in last fall's race, faded back to 15th. But yeah, I mean, look, the RFK numbers haven't been good for Keselowski finish-wise, but it's a steep enough price that I justify having him maybe in the Fs, maybe not a good play, but it may not be the worst. May not be the worst play.
Put him above Truex. Yeah, have a heart.
Truex is probably going to go at the bottom here. A couple of guys who are just equipment-wise. I know Bowman has been pretty shitty at Phoenix ever since that one sub run in 2016. I don't know that he would be worth on the board, but he's at 7,700. Ty Gibbs also, maybe one of those early vacation mode guys in a price at 8,700. And Suarez down at 7,200. Any love for either of those 3 guys? That's probably the 3 best cars equipment-wise left on the board.
Not even close for Gibbs. Gibbs has been in sophomore slump mode for the longest time. Yeah, he popped out of it for 1 race, but I'm still not buying the fact that he's back. Will he be a good driver? Yeah. Is he going to be a fantastic driver in 2025? Probably. Will he win some races? Maybe, but he's been so bad this season. I can't endorse him.
Yeah, I understand. For Gibbs next year, even if his over/under is at half a win, I'm still debating whether I take the over or not. It can take guys years to get that first win. Chase Elliott's the one people always reference. 99 Cup starts before he got his first win.
Poof. Oof. I would put at the top the D's. I would make the play for Chris Buescher.
Yeah,
Buescher's
Busher too. I
actually,
forgot about Busher.
I mean,
Good
he's
call.
been on a clinic lately, 22, 36, 48, 39 DFS points over the last month. And also, you look at his total speed rankings. He was really fast here in the spring, if you can remember, and 13th in the total speed rankings for Phoenix in the next gen era. So I like Buescher. Do we have Gragson ranked? I think Gragson deserves to be
I
ranked
think,
on here.
yeah, the other
Okay.
two SHR cars I threw up in the
Yeah.
C's. I think that they've really, whether it's just they're all putting their all into it because they're going out of business, or because they have a lot of young drivers that take some time to make their way up and do well in the Cup Series, like we just said. Maybe these are guys that are all going to go into their new rides next year and really flourish.
Yeah, but throw Bowman in the Fs. Like he's going to start.
Yeah, I made the call after he got knocked out at the Roval that they weren't going to finish top 15 all year. I was expecting early vacation mode to hit right away. They haven't slowed down at all. Minus that DQ at the Roval, 9.9 average finish in the playoffs. And without getting the playoff points, still would have been minus 50 or something on the cut line after Martinsville. But they have not gone into the early vacation mode. They haven't slumped. So you'd have to give them credit for that. 7,700 is a price you can consider in the mid ranges here for a 15th place or something, maybe some differential. They don't qualify that well that often. At least the last couple weeks have been good, but generally not a spectacular qualifying team.
Suarez finished 13th here in the spring. I think he deserves a look at least as an F. It's 7,200. It's not the worst price tag. Like I think there's guys we'd rather play like the SHR boys, Hocevar, McDowell. So it's not a great play, but if he starts poorly, I think he's someone we could be considering. And
that's it for me. That's it for me.
Yeah, Rod, you got Jimmy Jam, the 16. What else you got? Derek Krause out there. What do you got for us, man?
I'm surprised we filled the board as much as we did, to be honest with
honestly.
you. This is outside of the championship 4. It just feels like everybody else is like a dart throw anyway. So
yeah, and it could
be
be one
on
of
Jeb Burton. Talking shit on Jeb Burton. Are you
you
serious?
That's one of those like. That's one of those that it's like with the take we had with the 66 last week. If they can run all the laps, and they didn't come close to running all the laps, that's going to be their goal this week. They run all the laps, and you got the over 1.5 cars to not run all the laps. You got 2 of them in the field that traditionally haven't been able to run all the laps and traditionally with their equipment.
Yeah, agreed. I think we did it, boys. What do you say? I think we finished the final tire tiers.
I think so. Yeah, let's we'll go ahead and put that to rest for the year, and we're about to put the show to rest in terms of race previews for the year as well. Don't forget about our survey. I definitely want to mention that is it's linked in the description. It will be tweeted out as well. Go ahead and fill that out. That'll also enter you into our giveaway that's going to be coming next week in our first off-season show. Got a couple of 164ths over here, mystery 124th diecast, as well as some trinkets, a little Kevin Harvick Busch Light action, couple of those authentic cars, Daniel Suarez Pitbull car, just some stuff to throw on your shelf there.
Yeah. Thank you, Elliot, for always coming to the table with a bunch of giveaways. Black Friday's coming around the corner, so we're going to make sure we stock up for the upcoming season as well.
Our boys over at Circle B Diecast, they don't give us an endorsement, but they do have a lot of good deals at Black Friday that have already kind of started. So we can that's going to be our giveaway stockpile. So if you want to know what's going to be our giveaways for a lot of next year, take a look at those Black Friday sales. You'll get some hints.
I can't thank everyone for riding with us all season long. It's been great. We're still going to continue to do a weekly show, still potentially on Thursday night. Sometimes we might have to shift that around due to some traveling schedule, especially with the holidays, Thanksgiving coming up. But we'll still have a weekly show. We'll try to entertain you guys for the next couple months. We should get some championship odds here in a couple of weeks as well, and we can start diving in those. But thanks everyone who comes along for this ride. As Elliot said, make sure you guys are filling out that survey. Not only will it enter you in our giveaway, but it'll tell you, hey, what parts of this show is good? What parts of this show are dog shit? Like, we need to know that. This is stuff we need from these consumers. We have people like Stan, Chuck, Nick, who've been riding with us all season long. So Marcus as well, and Bob and TK.
We got Kush as well. That's been with us lately. And again, shout out to everybody as well. Some of the names aren't coming to us at this moment, but much appreciation to everyone who tunes in and watches week by week. Whether you're live or whether you come by and watch later, we appreciate you guys too.
Yeah, Stan saying thank you for all the dedication to this space. Remember, 2 amigos are good, but 3 amigos are better. Let's remember this going forward to next season.
Hey, we'd love to have Rod as much as we can too, and we'd love to have 3 of us together, but damn, we know Rod's a busy man. But it's been wonderful to have you on board again for most of the year, Rod, as well.
Listen, you guys know that, first of all, I love talking and people can't shut me up anyway. So I might as well do it for a good cause, and hanging with you guys on Thursdays, even if it's every other Thursday, talking NASCAR is about the absolute pinnacle of it all. Don't tell Cody because he will probably else. But no, listen, I love it. And I love this community because it is just one of the joys of being able to interact with intelligent race fans that love the sport, that love hearing us talk about it, which still blows my mind to this day. But yeah, I am humbled. I am honored, and I'm glad to have been around for, is this my second and a half season? Third.
Yeah. We've had Rod ever since this has pretty much been like a real show that people should watch. So
yeah,
you go. Yeah. Don't dig too deep in the archives because I don't. That first
please don't. Yeah, stop clicking on. I think we've done maybe about. Don't go 80 more episodes back. No more than 80.
But the important distinction was when we started it wasn't explicitly a betting show, and then it's like, well, why the fuck aren't we talking about betting? That's the lane, and we've been able to do that. We've been able to build this awesome community around it and learn what we're doing a bit and actually come to a point where we're making some money, which is probably the best part, honestly.
We're going to keep taking swings, guys. We're going to keep fucking taking swings, and you best believe the moment some championship and some future odds will be down on those as well, Elliot.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We are going to stick around for off-season content here, maybe do some reviews on the season for the series. We're going to preview some of the series. Also have some fun content that'll be in the works as well. Guys, it's only 11 weeks, and then we're previewing the Clash. It's a short off season. So I tell you what, I'm ready for that. But I'm also ready for this weekend. We're going to crown some champions. We're going to hope to end the betting cards in the green. And everyone, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for rolling down the back road with us all season long. We appreciate it. Check out In Between Media, all our stuff going on. You want some of our betting takes in article form, we've got Between Bets, breaking down the championship for each of the 3 series that'll be coming out. And like I said, just shout out to everybody. Stay tuned because this isn't the end for us, but last race preview of the year. Going to be a fun one at Phoenix. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night.
Love y'all. Thank you.